You're listening to Polymatic.media, episode 50, November 4th, 2018. From across the Atlantic Ocean, one host in the land of cheesesteak and the other in the capital of cheese. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey John, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Well, after like the 100th time of reading that extra stuff that you threw in there. Good for bloopers. Good for bloopers.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. The fall's always busy for me, and it's just getting denser, and so I can balance it a little bit because it hasn't gotten into the intensity bits of my life yet. It will, and I've been here a lot, so
is that a normal October thing, November thing?
It seems to be a pretty frequent thing for me, Mr. Allen, in the fall. In the past, it was conventions combined with weddings. Then you have sort of the injection of holidays like our Thanksgiving, and then the sort of a holiday seasons and getting invited to parties and you saying no and, getting crap for it. And then there's all the work, Pollyanna stuff and the work campaigns, charity campaigns and stuff like that. It's just like there are just some times where you get poked little here or there throughout the year, and then at some point you got to the end of the year and you just want to be left alone, or certainly I do, and you don't get that.
For me, the end of the year is usually just finishing projects and then trying to fit in days off where I can just take care of the rest of the days off that I still have that I need to get rid of. So that's usually my end of the year. So a little bit less hectic though. Just hope I can get some projects finished this year. I really like to get the thing I'm working on done because it would save us a lot of money, and also makes things a lot easier for us. I can't really tell you about what the actual project is, but
oh really? Okay.
It will just it will make something great.
It becomes like the unnamed title project. Like I last weekend I finally had a few minutes to get it to build after I made all my vital changes, and now I got to figure out because I'm making a navigational change in the app, and then that little guy that comes out and has great ideas wants to inject over the prior to everything else and screw it all up, and I haven't even got the thing to work correctly anymore. I got it stable, but it's not working anymore. And it's not working anymore because I haven't figured out the navigational patterns that I got to go understand. And having like an hour every Saturday once a month, like one Saturday a month, is just not enough to ever get there. And I will eventually get past that. And I know there will be some pocket of quiet moments coming up, because of these holidays. And I'm looking forward to those moments as long as I get actual quiet time and there's no one around here screaming at me for Artemis or something like that,
Yeah, people will most likely not let you have that time.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll creep out and get in there and wedge it all up. So anyhow, that's kind of the crazy, really uninteresting stuff that's happening. And I'm sure if you go back through the years of shows, you probably hear me say this a lot.
I got there was a new patch for Minecraft that came out. 1.13.2.
Yeah.
And they fixed the problems with the lag. It was completely unplayable for me, especially on the hardcore series I was doing. Yeah. I finally was able to record 3 episodes this week with actually no lag whatsoever. It's great. I love it. And they dropped 1.14 snapshots, which is like bamboo and panda bears and new crafting stuff. Oh, yeah, lots of new stuff.
Maybe when
there's going to be some new below ground stuff happening too, so that's good.
Maybe I know that they did a lot of stuff with the seas. So
that's 1.13. Right. But they made a bug where there were lots of fish spawning. So many fish that it was like they were appearing and immediately disappearing again. And and then they were trying to find a school of fish to flow with, and that AI was killing the performance of your internal server on your Minecraft machine.
Oh wow, that's not great.
Yeah, that was not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have a topic for today.
Yeah.
For a change. So it's kind of an experiment. We're gonna try to improve something, and that may be a total hack job or something completely off the rails. We're gonna try to fit it in with like 30 minutes.
Well, let's start with the fact that you and I are professional programmers, right? At least in the IT world. I'm a little more than that, given my background. So you and
I think developers or software engineers is probably the good term.
Yeah, and so so this is probably not is a topic we probably both have been challenged a lot on our own. So what is the topic?
The topic is, how can we make passwords safer? How can we improve passwords?
Okay. So I will give my fundamental qualities I think a password should have about it.
Should we first maybe look at the point if we actually still need passwords? I mean, everybody knows what a password is.
Right. Well,
I mean, you can even see between people started using their welcome 123, right? That's the old school. Even welcome or password has been a password
or
for some
blank.
people.
Yeah.
Well, actually, blank is probably safer.
Yeah.
When you think about it, all these passwords all have something in common. They're a phrase of text. They can be either symbols or letters, numbers, whatever. But they're a string, right? That's something that you send in, and then that hopefully gets hashed and not just checked against a plain text piece of text. And then you get access to something. The problem arises when somebody has a very short password, which is easily guessable. Mm-hmm. And that's the point where we have a lot of online services that they have either no way to prevent brute forcing, which is what allows you to get in, or some way of getting to the hashed passwords and then getting the hashed passwords out and then putting a rainbow table against it, or somebody just leaks the plain text passwords.
Right, yeah.
And then they end up on some market somewhere.
Right.
And the question is, do we still need them, right? That you see a lot of people that use that start coming up with gadgets that will change the way you log into stuff.
Right.
Think about YubiKeys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there's biometrics, people with Face ID, fingerprint readers in your phone. Mm-hmm. Right? That's a lot of stuff.
So there's a couple things. The big problem is apathy from the user. Simplicity that the user gets to choose because they have been they're sort of apathetic to the whole password and I use the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 everywhere. Right? Okay. Then there's the storage issue, and there's the problems with when engineering, software developers, or whoever designed a system chose to store and compare. Sometimes they're literally comparing versus doing a hash, some kind of calculated comparison. But the real big thing here is what I think is good about your point is, do we just really need a verifiable and authentic mechanism to verify access to things, and we don't necessarily need a password that's easy for everyone to copy.
The problem with that is that when you look at those external devices, is that recovery from losing such a device or losing something and no longer having access to it, it's destructive. Right? You don't have access to your Gmail again, right? Ever. And then you have a set of recovery codes that you have to print and put somewhere, and then your house burns down. You lose your YubiKey and your backup codes.
Yeah. So if you're looking at physical hardware things like that, what you're talking about, absolutely. I totally understand when it's so unique. When I worked at a financial company, we had we call active cards. They're basically based on time calculations from a server and a physical piece of hardware that has similar mechanism, and those two never communicate with each other, but they're coded based on a seed factor to operate in the same manner. And this is very similar to Google's Authenticator, right? And it's kind of another two-factor authentication. Though typically two-factor authentication has been branded as, we send you a text message and then we get your 6-digit code and you plug it in and then we verified it's you. Where something like the authenticator, every minute or something, it changes its code, and that's easy, that's accessible, and it's coming from, at least right now, a very reliable company, right? So that's a reliable security mechanism,
and it's open source.
Yeah, it's open source, and it's easy to tack into, and it would be weird if it's only available on Android and not also on iOS.
I have the Authenticator app on my iPhone.
Oh, okay, great. So I mean, I think those are some better tools. Now, are they better perfect tools? The answer is no, because they don't really need you. They just need your phone. But the problem with it is, for example, when I had a two-factor authentication set on a server, and I didn't move it over to a new phone or anything.
You dropped your phone in the toilet.
No, I didn't do that. But I broke the phone, so I didn't have any. So I had it on, and and then I had to email the server admin and say, hey, could you disable it so I could reestablish it on a new device, new thing? And he's like, yeah, cool. But I had to talk to a person. Now, if you're a corporation with millions of, or thousands, or hundreds of thousands of people that aren't savvy, because of just all kinds of reasons. That's just not going to be a viable business thing that doesn't happen without a lot of friction.
Well, two-factor is useless if there's a person involved, right? If a person can disable it for you, how is it safe?
Right.
Because you can just social engineer the person.
Right.
You can, with the new audio, you can make people say things.
Yeah.
Like deep, what was it?
Voco.
Deep fakes, but vocal edition.
Voco, yeah. Or Lyrabird, or what is it? How is Duplex? Coming from Google. Like everyone, there's a capacity to code something to make that pretty easy to, I think
you can make you can still make passwords more difficult to guess, right? If you go off the normal character set. So if you go, for example, just type in some Japanese characters. Right. There's quick ways to type Japanese characters these days on phones, on laptops and everything. There's emojis, although there's a good reason why you shouldn't use those, but we'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah.
Right. So you can add some more stuff to your passwords to make them more difficult to guess. And then there's the thing that people say, yeah, you have to change your password every once in a while. No, that really doesn't make it safer, right? You can have a good password, and as long as you don't reuse it, there's no real reason to change it, right? As long as you don't have it exposed somewhere. Now, for the part where do we still need passwords? I think the only way to recover from losing your password or losing your access token or something, it has to be something like that, right? There's no way to verify that you are you and you want to get back in, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now there's some people that, for example, I think that Facebook requires you to send in your ID.
Oh, they hit me with a code generator or something, and I literally had to go into Facebook to confirm it was me and stuff like that. Stupid.
Well, if you have to confirm yourself being you by sending in your ID, and if your Facebook ID is whatever, some stupid name, right? You're not your real name, or it's your stage name. How are you going to confirm that it's you?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I think, given my profession, I know how I can violate and just all these things are very imperfect. Even in high security environments, they'll do retina scans, they'll do fingerprint scans, combination of sometimes vocal. They make fun of that inside of movies, but that there's a little bit of truth there. And then one of the things that's kind of interesting is clearly not so much anymore because they have cards and whatnot, but they would have like keypads that, where people like you could film and study the pattern of someone's number. But the thing is, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It could be 5, 8, 9, 6, 7. It scrambled.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah. And certainly there has been improvements, but what it comes down to me for the core issue for me is people. People are apathetic. They don't want to be bothered. They get irritated. So that is why they just sort of violate the general point of the password. They make it the same everywhere and easy to remember and never change it. And so when you say, well, is changing your password every 90 days more secure? No, it just irritates the person some more. And they're not conditioned because they're from the get-go. It wasn't established correctly. And then we involved a whole world of people who don't want to be bothered. They just want the stuff. And then we as like IT culture, period, all of us, not just you and me specifically,
it's all our fault,
have sort of compromised and said, fine, as long as we get our billions, that's acceptable. And,
and then there's also the business rules, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at some companies have in their list of allowed characters, you have to have your password has to be between 8 and 16 characters long. It has to have at least one capital. It has to have at least one number. It has to have at least one symbol.
Yeah.
I mean,
upper, lower.
That's stupid.
Yep.
That you're limiting the amount of passwords that there are, because you can just ignore the first 8 characters. Well, not you can ignore, but I mean, you have to assume that everything that's shorter than 8 characters is not going to be an issue, right? So everything below that you can just ignore as an option.
Yep.
Then the number of characters, the different types of characters need to be in there, so there's going to be at least one capital in. So everything with that one capital you can just ignore. Right? You're making it easier to brute force. Now, of course, it's still 8 to 16 characters, which is going to be harder to brute force. But just if you're trying to make a rainbow table for the hashing method that was used, you're getting there a lot easier.
And people are very simple. They typically use their initials and then a short version of their birthday. And that is typically what most people do, unless it's something that is easily identifiable about their ego or who they are. I'm a musician. Musics with an X and a 1. I mean,
the
people
high school sweetheart.
Right, exactly. You can profile a person very quickly, and you can find out how lazy they are by what password they construct or how careful or diligent they are about it. I make it my business not to remember any of my passwords. I have my own proprietary mechanism and encryption that I built that allows me to kind of fill in. I essentially created my own LastPass a while ago. But it's in a method that is not common. So, again, now we know how to hack Allen. Okay. But the reality is you're not going to find it in a hashing table so easily. Now, you will find it on a compromised, hacked list. And I've been on the internet for a very long time. And so there are plenty of my old passwords out there because, whatever company that you did business with online got hacked, right? And they have your information's out there. Have I Been Pwned is a good, by Troy Hunt, is a good website. That guy in general, his blog is pretty good. And you can sign up for that, and he gathers every time there's a hack or, a big institution gets cracked. He grabs the databases, he loads it up, and keeps track of that stuff so that if you want to find out where, when, and what you've been hacked, he provides you that information.
Yeah.
And he does it at cost. There's no sponsorship or anything. He's a security guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's lots of things to do about to be careful, but the whole point of it is to be authentic and verifiable as you as a person. So I don't know what the better choice is. I more lean to something like Google Authenticator. because it's incredibly narrow and more difficult. And when they generate that key on the server side with you and it, you got to save that thing. Otherwise, I mean, basically, it's gone. If you don't save that printout, you don't save that image, you don't save the barcode, you're done.
Yeah, but then again, you're saving the image. You're saving the barcode.
And then so I never do.
So
that's why I reach out. Right. So this becomes a big problem for large organizations. But it works out fine for something like a Mastodon where the server admin is probably reachable by an email. But even then, that's unencrypted open text, right? And all you're asking to do is for them to, clear it out so that you can reestablish it.
Yeah, but then again, who are you?
Right, exactly. Right. How do you do that? So
how do you confirm yourself if you're going by an alias?
Right. So I think if we were trying to make this improvement, you got to go through something that allows authenticity, and it comes from external sources that have to be established as a standard. And as bitter as people are going to get, I'm sorry, but you're part of the problem. I could never work for the NSA because my mother and my father are the biggest security holes. They are.
Yep.
They are absolutely the biggest security holes. Even though my father knows this world well enough, they're all culprits to scammers, phishing, and whatever, because they're just not. They're not on top of it. Our parents are the biggest security holes, unless they're already in that business. So, so there's no way, the people around you, my stepbrother, my sister, you know what I mean? My family is the biggest security hole.
Well, there's a thing for that, right? So if you think about how, let's say you get run over by a truck or a tram or something. Right. Do people need to get into your accounts to close them, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff needs to be closed, that you died. Facebook, how do you know that the person is dead, right?
Yeah.
Do you leave a vault, like a LastPass or a something or other, right? Yeah. That's a thing where I think about a lot as to how can you preserve the access to the account without you having to prove that you're you.
Yeah.
I think there's two factors to this. Hey, there is the can you recover with the two-factor, and how can you recover without having to provide additional third-party documentation that you're you, and how do you maintain that third-party documentation? Is it do you have to send in your passport? I mean, or your driver's license? And even if so, is your driver's license a real driver's license, right? How do they confirm that? The whole concept of you are you, that's your identity, goes against the whole concept of the internet. I mean, you can just be anybody on the internet.
Yeah, and I want to add a little bit of value because there is examples of, to some people, their Twitter account might be part of their persona, their business, the way they used to communicate or communicate with their, it might actually have value, even though it's a free thing. So, for example, my friend Kyle died this year, and he deleted a lot of his own Twitter messages, a lot of them. There was just a handful. It was a little weird that he did that. And then after he died, after the funeral happened, a couple of days later, they recognized that he had this extra life where there was a lot of people who enjoyed his presence online. And I don't know who called what, I don't know how it happened, but all of a sudden, years worth of stuff came back after a few days after his funeral. And I don't know if they contacted Twitter or what happened. And the only reason that I suspect my involvement's a little bit of it because we did a dedication show we related to the other podcast, and a bunch of us had talked about his sort of social media impact and how that was a wonderful memory of him.
Yeah.
And I know that the family had listened to that stuff, so possibly they went out of their way, or maybe Twitter found out somehow. I don't really know. Maybe they have a program of that, and they reverted all that stuff. I'm not really sure.
But again, how would they know that it's an actual request, right?
Yeah, and how would they, right? But that stuff came back. I mean, the way that they hacked Paris Hilton back many years ago to get into her phone to find nudes and whatever it was they called up the cell phone company and said, oh, yeah, I lost my phone and blah, 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 and got a new phone established, reattached to a new number, and then got in just all natural, as authentically as her.
Yep.
Changed the password, got all of the stuff out of the iCloud
here
accounts.
Is people.
Yeah. Yep.
The weakness here is definitely people.
Yep. People.
And, so how can we make, let's say we're stuck with passwords for a while, right? I mean, we can all go back to two-factor authentication. We can have YubiKeys stuck up our butts, but we're still going to be stuck with passwords for a while. Can you make a password safer? Now, a while back, there was an XKCD about this, where they did using words and making a string, like a long string, of just words, random words. Like, I think one of them was horse and staple or something. Mm-hmm. It was really stupid. But they made a string of words, like 5-6 words, with dashes in between them, and then that was the password. So you only have to remember that stupid line with the staple and the pumpkin and the skeleton and whatever. Yeah. And that's your password. And people are good at remembering phrases. They're terrible at remembering passwords.
Yeah.
So if you don't have access to a password manager, or you don't want to use a password manager, or you want a password for your password manager, something like a phrase like that will make it a lot easier. Now, another thing in that same concept is using emojis for your password. So some websites allow it. Actually, most should allow it, by the way. But for like device authentication, like let's say you log into your Mac or your Windows machine, you don't have an emoji keyboard. So it's going to be very hard to log in with your emojis. So let's say you're trying to sign up on a new phone and you're trying to log into your Gmail and you have an emoji in your password. Yeah. That's not going to work because there's no button.
Yeah. And the thing is that code in the picture is not actually what's underneath the hood there. That's just it's
just a bunch of it's just actually one character and it's multi-byte.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like 4 bytes.
Mm-hmm. And you also have to make the assumption that, and in today's world, the reality is, yes, any respectable company that makes an application has a database that can store that stuff. But you never know.
The thing is, if you hash it, you're not storing the password. If you're storing the password, you cannot handle multi-byte characters. Then you're a very bad person.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to handle that, because you're hashing it. You're not ever looking at the password ever again. You're only comparing it from a hashed to a hashed and seeing if it's the same thing, right? If you're able to be able to compare those two. So you're never ever seeing the password ever again after the first time it's been filled in. So if there's people out there that, think the input method and for devices, it's going to be hard. You're not going to be able to do that. But emojis are easier to recognize, right? So you can have if you could have
the horse staple sky,
right? You can make up a little story perhaps that you can easily remember, right?
I was having fun with Discord and Halloween, saying Happy Halloween with that stuff with emoticons.
Yeah, or Deadpool.
Yeah.
Skeleton, Pooh, and L. Right? You have 3 characters by the looks of it, but you have 9 characters in data. Although the first character of every emoji is the same, I think. I don't know if that's the same. I think there are multiple sets. So it's a multi-byte character.
Yeah.
Now the same thing goes for Japanese characters.
Same thing goes for international. Yeah.
So UTF-8 characters are going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But you can input multi-byte characters on Windows, I think, in the password thing. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
What if I set myself to? How did they handle that for Japanese people? Do they have to enter a Latin password? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the thing that, like, everyone wants to crap on Windows for a lot of stuff, but, Microsoft thinks at enterprise level, so they give international considerations at the top. That's why it takes them a little extra time. They're not just considering, like, one nation for one customer. That's our largest impact. That's where we get all our money. Like, they don't do that. They don't think like a startup. They operate at, they have to accomplish like 182 languages right up front and, regression test everything. So they have a lot of that language stuff built in, but how they're accomplishing it, I have no idea. There's a lot of localization tools and conversion mechanisms that are built in that you can utilize very easily to decode these things in the standard appropriate way, whatever that is, against the standards organization.
Yeah. So there is a article about this on Medium, Polymatic link/OA for that. It goes on about emojis in passwords and why you should not use them. It's an older article. It's about 3 years old.
Yeah.
But I think it's still relevant. You should definitely have a look at that if you're interested in all this stuff. I think that in the future, emojis might be more interesting because we're going to hieroglyphs anyway. The way we communicate.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be eventually going to be like emoji grammar or something like that. You have to put the emoji in this way, otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
I hope not for those days. So as an English-based culture, we never went there. We did. I mean, letters are our own hieroglyphics. I mean, they're our own glyphs. Where in Egypt, we talk about that a lot in history because it's the most interesting topic, and the way that they stored stuff was, pictograms. And, we're sort of doing that because we can't be bothered, or because, look, it's cute, it's fun, right? You can have fun with that stuff. It's also sort of, I don't know. Maybe it makes us use our brain more than we're conditioned to using it. I don't know. I don't know if there's actually any kind of real cultural benefit. Or
if you look at it, the Chinese and Japanese characters do have like their source in a person or a house or a thing. So there's some root in there, right? So, but having less characters to make yourself known, right? It can make sense, and because it's like it's multi-byte, you'll have more data to use for your password. Yeah. But I don't know how the hashing algorithms go about using the UTF-8 characters, if they actually ignore them or if they. Yeah. I think that. Don't quote me on this, by the way. I've tried it with the PHP one, and I got different results for the ones with emojis and without emojis, but I'll have to retest that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, what most of these encryption tools do is they convert it to the code, or they convert it to like a lookup table of some sort. And then they calculate on that, and then they transform on that, and they store that. And that is more or less fundamentally at the highest level, and every developer who knows something more than me on this subject who wants to bark about it, please bark, because we never get feedback. But to the point is, just to give people who don't really understand the complexity of these things, it's just being transformed into whatever. And so it might be getting in the multi-bit, lookup table variation of that.
So if you're talking about multi-byte, you have, let's say for emoji, you have four characters.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to place a dog emoji. So the first character is indicating it's a multi-byte character.
Yeah.
This is the same technique that's used to create, to put Japanese characters or Chinese characters onto your screen. Those are not, I think these are, don't remember what UTF-8, UTF-16 they are, if we're talking about that.
Yeah.
But emojis, I think there's 4 bytes for an emoji. So the first one is indicating, hey, it's a multi-byte character. Then the other 3 that follow are this is the character. And that total, those 3 combined make a total of so many bits. And then you can calculate what the number of the character is, and that converts to a character on your screen. But you can use those characters as individual byte characters to make a hash out of it. So you would fill basically your character requirement of 8 characters for those stupid websites with like 2 emojis, right?
Yeah.
So you can have your what was it that emoji that's used a lot? It's not a cucumber. It's a
eggplant. Okay.
That gets used a lot. So you can have your dirty password, and nobody will ever notice. And if you have to give your password on your phone on the phone,
yeah.
What is your password, sir?
Eggplant poop emoji.
Okay, you're getting really disgusting now.
Well, okay, I was just going along with it. Cucumber, eggplant.
Okay then. Anyway,
okay, whatever.
So I think that we can go really down the rabbit hole with this one. I'd like to discuss this more at some other point. I think the whole discussion about how you can recover from either an emoji password or a 2-factor snafu where you lose your 2-factor or something like that. How you can get from using a password to using something that you can identify yourself without being, tricked by your nephew because he kind of looks like you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Let's look at the biometric stuff. We could discuss that in the future, I think.
Yeah. Look, there are other ways. I don't know. They're all sort of very hackable in one way or another. It depends on how long of a conversation you can deep dive into the technicalities of it. Yeah, all the solutions are imperfect, including, keys, right?
Yeah,
watch
definitely.
the YouTube channel of the Lockpick Lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's a YouTube channel out there. The guy I saw the other day, he took a pumpkin carver, put a lockpick mechanism on it, and in a few seconds, he got into locks pretty well. So, all our security systems are imperfect.
I think that locks are different, right? If you look at the lock, like on your door, those are deterrents. They're not actually to give you access.
Yeah, but isn't the password also a deterrent? Because we know how imperfect the situation can be.
The lock numbers, your keys, they're numbered. You have a number on your key.
Right.
It's just the number of the key that it is. So that's the password. Yeah, so if you know that number, you can get into any lock you want to.
Yeah,
just
I got that. I understand that. Yeah, but my point is that when it gets down to it, people are imperfect, and passwords have become more of a inconvenience more than a verification.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that people are stupid.
Yep. Including me. Can't say I've always made good passwords.
I wrote a piece of code recently. I've been working on my own password manager. Because I'm like, so 1Password is really great. But I don't like the route they're taking now. Yeah. So I'm considering, maybe bailing and getting and just running my own stuff, and then putting that on Apple and on Android stores and stuff, and just get something working myself.
I hate to say this, but I'm sure there's someone coming out with a password manager that is utilizing the block ledger.
Oh yeah, I wanted to not mention the blockchain.
I did not mention the C word.
To go there.
I did not mention the C word. I mentioned the L word.
Yeah. So the thing is, people really love the blockchain, and every time somebody comes up with some stupid thing that needs to be solved, you can solve with the blockchain.
Oh no, VCs who don't know better, who have lots of money to put down, love the C word.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Talk about stupid people. I think that, okay. Let's not get into that one. Anyway, my idea for the password manager is already done. I've already written one. I've already made it. It's a web-based thing. It's mostly for teams, so you can have like team passwords. Like, for example, you need to log into companies, and you can only make one account there, and you need to share that password across people with the company. Yeah. So that's what it's for, basically storing passwords for like servers and stuff like that, right? In a secure way. And then you can still share it across teams. So if the new person joins the team, they can still get into that chain. we'll discuss that in a later episode, I think, when I have a workable prototype somewhere that I can show off.
Yeah. So if those who are listening haven't noticed, we're sort of on a diet intentionally. We want to make this show a little bit more about substance and less about links.
We still have links though.
Oh, we still have links, but just not as many. We are forcing ourselves to be. Look, there's lots of great stuff to share on the internet, but you know what? Everything is fleeting. So one link a week, or show, I should say.
We're just 2 links actually. You get one
right.
We get one for the fun links, and then we get one for maybe music or a book.
Or something. Yeah.
Okay, so should we do that?
Yeah, when we get that out of the way. So what do you got?
So who owns the Statue of Liberty? CGB Grey had another video for the first time in 5 months. I mean, come on, dude. Please make some more videos because you're good at them. But anyway, Polymatic.media/OC. Who owns the Statue of Liberty? Very cool. Love it.
So I've shared this group before, Corridor Digital, one of their artists, VFX artist, Rem. He likes to... He likes to do these, I don't know, this is like, I think, the second instance of him doing sort of real world with visual effects and science all kind of combined, and sort of sharing that idea out. And he's like talking about true scale of the universe, or more or less planets, I should say. Polymatic.link/OD. I recommend check it out. It's pretty good if you don't follow the channel already. When he does the stuff, he does a pretty good job of it. And so I give him props for that.
Okay, so you got some music?
Oh, yeah, I do. This is a person that's been in my sort of like the daily mix of Spotify, and I know her music really well. And it just happens to be, she just seems to be in the crowd of other people that I listen to and is friends with everybody else. And so I saw one of those people doing a collab video with her, and I was like, okay, I will make a conservative effort to actually spend time listening to her stuff. Gabrielle Appleland. And I pointed to an older song called Miss You, because there's an actual like real video to see. Polymatic.link/OE. She's got a lot of stuff. Interesting artist. I really do like her stuff. It falls in that sort of pop indie thing that I generally listen to. That was Polymatic.link/OE. The impetus of me, the secondary like hit to, okay, make an effort to listen to all her stuff and figure out if you like her or not. She was on Graham Norton. It's a British TV show. It's pretty funny. And she was really good. She was really good in that from her new album that is out recently. In fact, a lot of artists are coming out with new stuff. Maisie Peters, Dodie, Orla, a whole bunch of artists. Like, there's just a lot of good stuff coming out. I don't know, maybe the fall is the time for all of it. So, anyhow, okay, that was Polymatic.link/OE, Gabrielle Appleland.
So when I saw that video, she kind of looked a lot like the last companion before, I think.
Oh.
The last companion for the Doctor.
Huh.
What's her face?
I know who you're talking about with Capaldi, but I don't. No, it's gonna bug me. I don't.
The Impossible Girl.
Yeah,
his name
whoever that was, I don't know off the top of my head. She, the little origin that I understand that she basically, when she was 15, she started a record company, and that's it. That's just where she just started making music, and she put it on YouTube and whatever. And she's not even like humongous in terms of. You want to compare yourself to like other YouTube artists that are huge. She's not even, but she's so what we call like radio play ready. Yeah. Like with the music that she's doing is very airtime ready. There's
Clara from
Doctor
Who. Yeah, Jenna Louise Coleman.
That's it. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, she kind of looks like that at the first. But then you get more zoomed in shots, and then you know it's still a different person. No. I was like, huh? What's this? Is Doctor Who related or something? Nope. Okay, next one. Audiobook. I'm linking. Actually, the book is fine too. It's just it's a very long book. The Three Body Problem by I can't pronounce his name. Shin Liu. Let's just keep it to that.
Liu?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I suck at these names. Polymatic.media/OB. It's the first book in a series. It's about people getting in contact with an alien race. And the first contact is of a very, very, very angry woman. She reaches out, tells them basically to come over and break things. And then they do. It's set in China along the Cultural Revolution there, and then it goes into more modern days later on. Actually, more futuristic because there's some VR involved and stuff. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting read. It's something I wasn't used to. I've read the first book a long time ago. The second book I got stuck in at some point because I was reading other stuff at the same time, but I'm trying to pick that one back up. So this is the first book in a series. This is the new recording with a new narrator. The old narrator was Luke Daniels, who also does the Ember War Saga and the Artifact book that I read that I was really not happy with. So he has a good and a bad side when he records these audiobooks. And I think that this one was actually one of his better ones, but they re-recorded it with another other narrator who has a more of a British accent, which I don't know if that's a good plan for this, but okay. Anyway, so Polymatic.media/OB for the 3-body problem. Alan, where can they find you on Twitter?
If you have to, you can find me on Twitter, CHAESS, or as I always mention, Mastodon at Alan at JAWNS.
You probably put that in the notes at some point.
Yeah, probably.
You can find me on Twitter at WebDevy, WEBDEVVIE. For feedback, you can reach us at podcast@Polymatic.media. And if you really want to, just send us some feedback about the password stuff. We would really enjoy it. And we'll probably do some more conversation about it. And tell us how wrong we are. Music in this episode by Say Uns, which you can find at polymatic.link/EK. The Twitter for this show is The Polymatic. The website is Polymatic.media, and I hope you tune in next time. And now it's time for a song of our people. Uns, 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 uns.
I was waiting for Ben to make another smoothie. Miss You is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of catchy, but as I listened to more Spotify, I was like encouraged to, let's just wait for my roommate to do whatever the hell he's making this smoothie. You hear this?
I hear it.
Yeah, he doesn't know that I'm down here recording. It's too early. Okay, let me. So we're just gonna. You'll just edit this, or maybe you don't edit at all. No, you won't edit at all. All right. Well, my roommate is making a smoothie, and he doesn't realize that I'm recording. So anyhow, despite all that,